This is a good one.
Okay.
Add some transparency, things you learn by doing every day, tips, and marketing structure. It's kind of a jumbled up question,
everything.
but like he's kind of like asking us to be an open book on the day-to-day things and tips that we do and how we market.
Okay.
So.
Well, I don't even know where to start, honestly. There's so many things.
What are some of the most valuable things you've learned in the past month?
In the past month? I think one of the biggest things is really management. Everyone wants to be a manager when they're a kid. Everyone wants to be maybe a CEO because it sounds so cool. But really, what I realized it actually is, it's people management. And people management is the hardest thing you'll ever do, right? And it's really nothing that I personally feel like I want to be doing. I'm more like creating things, all of that stuff. But being a manager requires a lot of skill and constant improvement on yourself. And that's what I have been going through a lot, just finding out how to manage a team properly, how to motivate them to grow themselves every single day, them getting better at what they're doing and giving them everything they need to succeed. But also, at the same time, I've learned that you have to give them freedom to figure things out on their own. And I'm usually kind of like a control freak, and I really have to work on this personally.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's when you set the standard really high, you know, you want to make sure it's met, and then you try and control the process of how people get there. That's something I've learned as well, is like, it's not like out of trying to be like controlling, it's just trying to be helpful, but then sometimes you try and help too much.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've noticed that as well, is like, you know, with people I've hired, I want to reach a certain milestone, I want to hit a specific goal, and then instead of like giving them the goal and then letting them figure it out on their own, I give them the goal and then I try and show them how to build the process. And that's technically what I realize is that's micromanagement. People don't want to be told how to do it, right?
Exactly.
They want you to give them the goal and they want to have a clear direction and where to go, but they want to be able to figure it out themselves, right? And it might not necessarily be the same way that you do it. It might not necessarily even be at the same standard or quality that you would do it. But at the end of the day, like, you got to realize, like, people are not you, you know? And that's one of the things I've had to deal with as well. So people aren't you. You got to let people like do things their way. And even if the process and the way that they do things is in a way that you think is kind of stupid, you know, if they like it, it's fine. As long as they still get to that goal by that milestone with, you know, the certain criteria you've laid out, then yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, and I'm really struggling with like the fine line between like being an asshole and being an asshole because I want to preserve the mission and the vision, and like kind of finding that, you know, balance in between where I'm like not coming off as an asshole, but still, obviously that's our job to like preserve the vision and the mission and make sure that we're going in the right direction. And sometimes, you know, you have to do really hard stuff, like letting people go that you really like personally, but they're just not performing at the level they should be and they're dragging down the team. And then you have to have like really difficult talks, which for me, it's really uncomfortable.
Yeah, you don't like conflict.
No.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's not that difficult, but I've definitely changed my philosophy a lot around the past, the past 6 months with the team. I think when I first started my business, I really wanted to have like an environment where everyone was enjoying working, everything was happy, everyone was chill, there was no pressure.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was kind of like, okay, like if I give people freedom, like, you know, I live in Bali, I have a cool life, but I still work my ass off. And I kind of expected the same for other people. But what I realized is, you know, if you don't get on people's case about things and you don't, you know, really kind of set the standard high, people won't like.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants this lifestyle that, for example, we're living. Like,
but we sacrificed years for it.
We work 10 to 12 hours daily. And, you know, this time, like we kind of took a break.
Yeah, so.
But it's hard. It's hard to guys.
Yeah, so the main thing that I've kind of learned is something that, you know, again, to kind of like jump back on what I was saying, is with the way that my philosophy's changed around like one of the biggest takeaways I've taken around, especially like people, is I've just started being super direct. You know, instead of focusing on having a workplace where there's harmony and, you know, like you're popular amongst a team. I think this is actually, I mean, also bouncing back on what you were saying is, you know, kind of like figuring out when to be an asshole, you know, not necessarily be an asshole, just to be an asshole, but like, I think your definition of asshole is just being direct with people and telling people the things that they need to hear, but don't necessarily want to hear.
Exactly.
I don't think that's being an asshole. That's being clear. You know, that's being direct. And that's,
some people can't really handle it.
Some people can handle it. Some people can handle it and they'll quit and they won't like it. But in a high performance team, you have to be able to have clear communication amongst everyone else on the team. Everyone needs to know what everyone's thinking. And what I realized is me trying to prioritize having harmony amongst the team and kind of like keeping things to myself because I didn't want to like
upset anyone.
Upset anyone or, you know, start some type of conflict.
Or hurt their feelings.
That was the worst thing I could have done, right? So previously, if someone was, you know, let's say not meeting the standards of performance that I was expecting from them, I would maybe like kind of like not necessarily say anything, or I'd kind of like keep it inside and just maybe give them a chance for like a week or two to see if they would make
hints.
it up. Yeah, right. Kind of like just see if they would kind of like work it out themselves. And I realized that was just stupid, right? Like if you don't clearly communicate with people what you're expecting and what you're thinking the second you're talking to them. Like if someone doesn't do something one day that you don't like, you need to tell them that same day, right? There needs to be no barriers of communication amongst a team. And that's why lately, I think my style, like some people might think I'm kind of like an asshole. I might be kind of direct, but it's just me genuinely telling you how I feel about the work that you're doing right here, right now. And I'm not going to try and put a barrier up and try and like, you know, please you or try and be popular with you or try and create harmony amongst a team, because that's not, you know, that's not going to be helpful to the person because they're not hearing what they need to hear.
Exactly. And to kind of like put this into, you know, a perspective for everyone listening, it's kind of like we really want, and that's what we decided actively, we want to have active conflict because out of chaos comes growth.
Yeah.
Right? And when you have a team that is only valuing harmony and nobody really talks about like problems going on, it diminishes the growth for everyone.
Yeah, it's not a one-way street. It's not like I just do this to the team,
exactly.
Right? We expect the team to also push back against us if we're doing things that they don't like. You know, it's just, it's accountability, you know, and that's also something I've realized is like accountability is like, it's kind of like a fancy word that people throw around like it doesn't really mean anything, but that is accountability. Like telling people like, yo, you said you were going to do this and you're not doing it. It's uncomfortable to, you know, start that, like usually that conflict, like conflict starts because there's a mismatch in expectation, right? But if those expectations were clearly set from the beginning, like all you're doing now is keeping them accountable. But that's, again, people naturally want to avoid conflict. So that's why I said, again, like 30 minutes ago, when the hiring question is setting really high expectations in the beginning is super, super important. If you don't set, like, let's say if you tell someone that, you know, they don't need to work and then you hire them and then you say, what the fuck, you need to be working 12 hours a day. Now you're an asshole, right? But if you tell someone, look, we're looking for people who are willing to work their ass off. They need to work 12 hours a day. They need to be here in the office and they commit to that. And then they don't do that. If you bring that up, now you're not just being an asshole, you're just keeping them accountable to what they said they were going to do, right? So that's why like setting the expectations is super important.
Exactly. And also if you have people that work with you within the team, and that's again like something that, you know, as a manager, everyone should be able to talk to each other, even if, let's say, your work impacts someone negatively. That person has to call me out, for example. If I don't perform on the level that I should be performing and I'm basically dragging the other person down for not performing. And we call it radical transparency. It's something that doesn't come easy. It has to be practiced on every single meeting. It has to be encouraged because it doesn't come natural. And it's uncomfortable. But that's one of the only advantages you actually have when you compete against other businesses, because it's so hard that most businesses don't want to go that route to actually have that active conflict because it's so uncomfortable. But if you manage to transition into a culture of radical transparency, you're going to grow faster, you're going to accomplish goals faster, everyone's going to get to where they actually want to go faster.
100%. Okay, cool. So that's a good one. Now, okay, so basically to summarize that, big takeaway from the month was managing people, basically making sure you're 100% transparent with people.
Recruiting will never end.
Get
into it now.
I'm trying to think, what was a big takeaway for me this month? I think the biggest takeaway for me this month is focus on trying to buy your time back. You know, I think that's one of the biggest lessons I had is actually with the recruiting process was we struggled for so long to try and hire good people, especially for a few specific roles. And we basically delayed the process of finding the right person for this specific role that we were hiring for like 6 months. And then finally I just bit the bullet. I said, whatever, I'm gonna drop 10K on like this recruitment agency. They seem to have good reviews. They're kind of pricey, but if they can find me this role, I need like a kind of like management level role for some of the projects coming up.
And that's our first management hire that is basically at our level.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they basically, before making that decision to go work with them, I was like, I'm going to try and save money, and I'm going to try and recruit and find this person myself. I was on Indeed, I was on Upwork, I was trying to go through job posts, trying to find like basically a project manager, and it didn't work out. And we spent 6 months like trying to look for this role. And
during that whole time, we still had to basically fill all the roles that we didn't have filled back
Everything
then.
Else,
so that's why we need to work so hard. And that's probably something else I realized is why am I doing all of this myself if I can have other people that help out?
Yeah.
Right? It just didn't occur to me.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, eventually, like what we ended up doing was hiring this recruitment agency. A friend recommended him, and in like 3 weeks, they had better talent than I had seen in months.
Yeah.
And
it was worth it.
Yeah, we ended up hiring one of the people that they sent us 3 candidates. One of them stood out by a long shot, and we hired her. And after that, I was just like, I cannot believe I wasted 6 months of my time, like literally like every single day trying to find someone for this role. And they found it like that in 3 weeks. Yeah. You know, and I had to spend 0 time, and I spent 10K. Fuck it. You know,
it's so worth it.
So worth it. Is 10K worth 6 months of my time?
Yes.
100%. 100%. And now I can reach my goal and grow my company 10 times faster. 100%.
Yeah. And that's what people also, I just like thought about scaling, because our clients always ask us, oh, how do we scale our funnel business? And I'm like, come on guys, like you don't need to worry about it right now. But when you need to worry about it is when you know the skills, and when you know, actually start scaling, you need to know how to recruit. That's it. Recruiting, finding really good people. And that's something I would have wished like someone would have taught. Like I had no idea how important it is before I actually had the problem. And I think we could have avoided so much drama if we would have known about how to hire and make the right decisions and get the right people on board.
Yeah. And now we have like, and it's also different, right? Because we've now built our own recruiting systems for sales in the US and also in Pakistan. Yeah. And now we have, luckily, a Connect who has basically done really well hiring management level roles for us. Yeah. Basically focusing on helping startups find management level roles. And they knocked it out of the park. So like we have a good connect there.
Awesome.
But yeah, we got lucky with that. And that was that was really good. So
and then just scaling your sales what's it called? Sales pools, recruiting pools.
Recruiting pool, yeah.
Exactly.
Talent pool.
Yeah, on our end, like that's something we do as well to keep growing, because that's the other thing about scaling like, sales. You need sales all the time. If you have a high ticket product, you need to be, you know, having sales team.
Sales, I mean, sales drives all the revenue.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, so first question is, everything is ready, shop is on Insta, but what now? Commercial strategies with ad posts.
So what this guy or girl is saying, they have a shop.
They have a shop.
They made an Instagram account.
And
they have their products already uploaded and everything's done, but they don't know.
They haven't had any sales probably.
Okay.